The idea that, the work that you've done internally, you've also taken that out into your team. You're helping elevate your team, your clients, everybody else. That's the real testament to the power of doing the self-care.
But we do that all the time in life, right? We say things or we do things because we're so worried about what the other person is going to think or feel, or what they'll think of us, or what. And I'm kind of like, I don't really care.
I care about me.
My space is really important to me, and that's also something that has, there's the standards and the boundaries. There's also your physical space.
Hey there, superstar. I'm here chatting with my friend LeeAnn, and we're going into part 3 about self-care, our relationship with others. So you've done these practices, you're doing these daily practices, you're doing this process of alchemy, right? Which is a term I learned from my mentor, Nani Leah, who you know. We're doing this transmutation of the negative, energy, emotions, and channeling it into beautiful creations. Like we talked about your one-woman show and what you're up to, your speaking career and the mentoring that you're doing with people. So another big piece of self-care that I think of and that I've also noticed with you is the changing of the way we relate to others. And specifically the creating of relationship and connection with other people and being in community.
Yeah.
What can you say about that you've learned or that you know?
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is a huge component, right? This actually, in some ways, is a nod to the crew piece of the No Regrets formula, right? Who's around you and how are you interacting with them? And part of that is this dance of how I'm treating myself and then how I allow others to treat me.
Right, because if you start taking care of yourself, you're certainly going to start holding a higher standard for how other people treat you, right?
Totally. Because, right, first of all, no one's ever going to treat you better than you treat yourself, period.
At least not for long.
Not for
right?
long. Right, yes.
You
there
know?
can be that we
get the sugar daddy or the whatever,
right, or whatever, yeah. But yes, for a long term and for to be real, right? No one's gonna, because why would anyone prioritize somebody else over themselves? That's right. There's something not right there if that's happening. Anyway, so part of it is raising that. There's standards and boundaries is what the way a lot of people refer to it, right? Which you have a beautiful definition actually of standards and boundaries.
You mean Nani Leah's energetic castle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you the quick version. Nani Leah Diamond, one of my mentors, she has this concept of the energetic castle, and it's your floors of your castle are your standards, the walls of the castle are your boundaries, and the ceilings of the castle are your upper limits. And so as you raise your floor and create better boundaries that you can open and close and let people in, but you're holding the boundaries, and the higher your upper limits, the more you're able to experience, let's say.
Yes. And what it can look like in real life, in practical, is, are there certain ways that people can interact with you? If someone were to come to me and be screaming and yelling at me, I'm not going to have a conversation with them.
Right.
Because I have a standard.
That's right.
And I have a standard and a boundary, right? I don't yell at others. I don't scream. I do my alchemy alone with my damn it doll.
Yes.
And, yelling in the towel, I get it out for sure.
Yeah, you
but
do.
not onto another person.
Right.
And so if someone comes at me with that energy, I say, I hear you. I know where you're at. And do your thing. We'll come back and then we'll have a conversation where we can have an actual conversation around it. Yeah. Yes. That's what it looks like in the practice of life.
Ooh, I love it. That's so good.
And
okay.
Similarly with, things that we're watching on television, or, the group chat that I got out of, or, and created another one that would fuel the energy that I want to fuel. So it's just being really intentional about not only yourself, which is the self-care part of it, but also just now all the other things that are around you.
So what I witness is, in all that you're sharing is, it's kind of like your model, your no regrets formula, coming back to self first, the commit to self. And then from there, knowing that you're doing your work, it allows you to hold a higher standard.
Yes.
For what you're available for.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And so how has that changed? Let's talk about in business. How does that look in a business context, or in, marketing or sales, or, something like that?
in a business context has a huge impact on who I take on as a client.
Right. Now we're back to where we started today, right? The raising of the standards of who you work with.
Yeah, because if a client is going to come to me and speak to me or to my team in a derogatory way, or that will have no sense.
Hard boundary, and you're helping to elevate. They can choose to rise to your standard, and they become better in that process.
Yes.
Or at least if life becomes more comfortable.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well, and in my interaction, even with my team or with clients, sometimes things will come up that, feel a little uncomfortable, or that might be a hot topic for somebody or whatever. And there's prior versions of me that would have shied away from that or not gone there. And now I'm way more likely to say hey, let's have a conversation about this. This feels a little awkward. I'm feeling X, Y, Z, or this is what I see happening. Where are you coming from? What's going on? And diving into it instead of just leaving it awkwardly on the side. We don't deal.
Oh, that's so good, LeeAnn. I mean, that's so powerful. The idea that, the work that you've done internally, you've also taken that out into your team. You're helping elevate your team, your clients, everybody else. That's the real testament to the power of doing the self-care. Yeah. You're not the only one that gets the benefit of it. Everybody's always pointing the finger out in the world. Right. Yeah, I had a recent experience too. I've not told this story, so I don't know if it's going to come together. We'll see. But at the dog park that I go to with Neo, Neo, my little baby, the door keeps breaking on the dog park, and everybody complains about it all the time. And at some, I was like, I actually said, I'll pay for it if somebody just fixes it. But it has this contraption on it that nobody can figure out. The only way to get it done is for the association to do it. And I was thinking, wow, everyone here wants to do something. If we had the tools right now, we would fix this door. Right. But we can't, but that's kind of the idea of living your life. I'll just fix the door. Right. And it's okay. I'm gonna do the work on myself, and then I know that everyone in the park is gonna benefit from it. Right. Right. Maybe it would be fair if everyone pitched in and all the things, but what if you just fix the door?
You just fix the door and not be annoyed.
Not be upset.
And then not be annoyed that you had to fix the door, that you had to fix the door.
Right, I had to fix the door because nobody else was going to help me.
Tell everybody about
it. Yeah, it's sort of just do the work that you want to see out there in here. Do clean up and make your bed and,
And then it also gives you regulator is not the right word, but there's a knowingness to come back to that makes decision making very easy. Right. In the sense, this just happened the other day. I have a friend who knew I was going to be out of town, and he said, I have family coming in, and they're looking for a place to stay. Can I rent your apartment from you for a few days? You're going to be gone. And it was huh. And I sat for a minute, and it was yeah, I don't want that. No. And so I just said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And he's like, I'll pay for the cleaning lady, and I was like, oh, that's so wonderful and very generous. And it's just not right. It's not something I feel comfortable doing. So thanks. Okay. And
the past version of you might have said yes.
Might have said yes.
Might have had a real hard time saying no.
Right.
Might have avoided it.
Right.
Might have lied about it.
Right.
I'm actually going to stay in town,
Turned out I'm not out of town. Yeah. But we do that all the time in life, right? We say things or we do things because we're so worried about what the other person is going to think or feel, or what they'll think of us, or what. And I'm kind of I don't really care.
I care about me.
Yeah, and I do care about him. I did it in a nice way,
right?
But I'm not gonna.
It's not like you're denying him life-saving, treatment for CPR. You're just I want to keep my space.
Yeah, because my space is really important to me, and that's also something that has, there's the standards and the boundaries. There's also your physical space.
Yes.
Your physical body.
You've upgraded that big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
Woman, I've been through it with
yes,
the physical
you
space.
have. We don't have so I want to hear actually the Cliff's Notes version of that, because I think that is a really big important part of self-care. Yes. Is your space. And you and I both have done the living on the road thing.
Yes. Yes.
So, and that's not very conducive to self-care long term.
No. We've both been nomadic. I was nomadic for a year. You were nomadic for longer.
Yeah.
And so that was a piece of it. And then I came back and I lived in a small space, a studio. And then I lived in...
Oh, God, the commune. God, yes, we wanted to talk about the commune. Maybe we do a whole video on that. I don't know. No, just tell us a little bit about the commune.
The co-living.
The co-living.
It was
Co-living, but she called it a commune.
I lived with, I can't remember how, I think there were 14 people living in that space. It was 3-level. And it was, you know, in a lot of ways, it was great. It was an up level from my little studio apartment, right? Because I wanted this big kitchen and this great experience. Right. It was way bigger space than I would have.
But you had 13 roommates.
I know.
That's a lot. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
It really was rougher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you had a few roommates I remember you talking about without revealing their names. She never told me their actual names. She had nicknames for all of them.
Yeah.
You had a tough time there. What did you learn? What did you learn about your self-care standards, boundaries, all the things we've been talking about?
Because here's the thing, right? So there's actually 2 ways to view my experience in the commune.
Okay.
There's a prior version of me that probably would have said, "Oh, that was a rough year.
Right.
That was that was terrible.
Right.
Oh, that one guy that I lived with is just so hard to live with, and like whatever." And like, well, I'm glad I don't live there anymore.
Right. That's part 1. That's tier 1.
Tier 1. Instead, when I'm like, wow, there was some healing that I did not know that I needed to do.
Family stuff.
Yeah, that came up from that experience. That because I knew you and was in the inner circle, I was able to actually alchemize while I was there. And I had no idea this stuff needed to be alchemized.
Right.
I also learned a tremendous amount about like how I live with other people.
Yes, how you load the dishwasher.
How to fill the dishwasher. I still know I have the right way.
I know.
Let that record reflect that. But there's other things that you don't know about yourself or that are important to you until you start playing with other people.
That's right.
And so it gave me a lot of insights around, wow, it's really important to me to be conscious of the lighting. It's really important to me to clean up the kitchen.
Right.
After, like just
you bump up against the friction of somebody else.
Yes.
And it reflects back to you, oh, this is what matters to me.
Right. And so it's a beautiful experience from that perspective to learn all these things that I didn't know that I needed to learn.
Thank you, LeeAnn. And so if anyone wants to learn more about your no regrets formula, how to live a life with no regrets, how to take care of yourself with no regrets, how do they find out about you?
Just go to noregretsformula.com.
That's it. Simple. Easy breezy. Noregretsformula.com. And I feel like that's been part of my big learning, and I know yours too over the last few years, is like acknowledging how hard it is. And also, like the greatest transformations of my life have come as a result of being a business owner.
1,000 times, yes.
Right? Like who I be is a very different person. As you said, like if you went back, you would do that relationship differently, that business differently. Ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto. And there are, what do you call them? Like eggs that I broke, you know?
Right.
That I'm sad about because of the way I operated before I knew, you know? And I'll, what did they say? When you know better, you do better.
You do better. Yeah.